Good morning friends and welcome to the pre-market view. Friends, US markets were shut for 2 consecutive days because of the Hurricane Sandy, and indications are that if situation does not improve, then they might remain closed even on Wednesday. European markets were down about 0.5 to 0.7%, and the situation on the political front in Italy has actually deteriorated as a section of the political party is demanding the rollback of austerity measures and resignation of the current ruling government. So Italian markets were down, and when we look at the Asian markets today morning, most of the markets are showing some strength. Particularly in Japan, the hopes of liquidity easing have improved because the industrial production number that came out were below market expectations. The expectations were that it would show a degrowth of 3.3%, whereas the actual degrowth was about 4.3%. So that's helping the Japanese markets. And when we look at the SGX Nifty, it's showing a flat kind of movement, about 5 odd points kind of positive bias. Today is going to be an important session for our markets, as the RBI policy meet is going to be out by 11 a.m. today. And earlier the large section of the market was believing that there is going to be a 25 bips CRR cut, but post yesterday's finance minister's press conference, wherein he has defined the timetable for the fiscal consolidation over the next 5 years, and some statements from the RBI quarters have raised the hopes of a rate cut. So if you have a rate cut of about 25 bips, that could actually provide some kind of a surprise to the markets. And on that note, let me invite Shaival to take us through important F&O cues and the possible ideas and strategies in the F&O markets.
Good morning friends. Markets continue to trade in a range, and we've been seeing for the second consecutive trade unwinding has been taking place in the Nifty futures front. Now the FIs in Friday's trade were net buyer of around more than 1600 crore, and also in yesterday's trade we have seen a good activity taking place in the futures and options segment. They were net buyer of around 970 crores, specifically being huge buyer in index options ahead of RBI monetary policy. So that can be probably taken as an hedging portion. Now the PCR ratio is at 1.10, so that is a good sign for the market, and it's still into a comfortable zone. Now focusing on the implied volatility, has further seen an uptick, and we have been seeing that the activity on the option side stands still. Now today's monetary policy we are expecting would trigger an breakout on the either side and would give us a directional move. So unless we do not have a breakout, we would see Nifty consolidating into a range of 5,650 on the lower side and 5,750, 5,800 on the higher side. From the intraday perspective, we have identified 2 stocks. Raymond is looking positive, so one can go long on Raymond with support of 379 rupees 30 paisa, whereas one can go short on Ashok Leyland with resistance of 23 rupees 60 paisa. We have initiated Reliance Infra put 480 strike yesterday, so one can maintain a stop loss of 10 rupees 50 paisa and target of 16 and 20 rupees. Thank you.
Friends, here are the important news and events that we are tracking. First of all, the companies which are likely to announce numbers today. Maruti will be reporting the numbers, and as we all know that there was a lockout at the Manesar plant, the operating performance would not be that impressive, and at the net profit level we are looking at a 26% kind of a fall at 177 crore. However, the stock had already reacted to this, and now the Manesar plant is working at full capacity. So overall, one would not be too negative on this particular number. In case of IDBI, we are looking at a net profit of about 565 crore, and in case of Glenmark, we are looking at a net profit of 160 crore. Remember that last year in case of Glenmark, there was an out licensing deal to the tune of about 300 odd crore, and because of that there is going to be a cut on a YOY basis, but overall the numbers of Glenmark are going to be quite good. In terms of other events that we'll be watching out for, RBI policy meet, as I've already touched upon that, the street is expecting about 25 basis points cut in the CRR, which is also reflecting in the way the bond yields have actually come off from about 8.32 to about 8.26, and the hopes of a further rate cut to the tune of 25 bips has increased following the statements from the finance ministry as well as from the RBI survey that came out. and we think that if a rate cut happens, then that would definitely be a positive for the rate sensitive sectors, particularly banking, auto, and some of the high beta sectors like real estate as well. And IRDAI has actually come out with a draft guidelines for the product standardization, which could be potentially negative for the insurance companies, because if there is not going to be a distinction between the ULIP linked products and the traditional products, then the attractiveness of the traditional products could go away, which is perceived to be negative for the insurance companies. However, these are the draft guidelines, so one will have to watch and see what final shape it takes over the next few days. In case of cement, there are reports that we might see about 15 to 20 rupees hike in the northern states, and that could be a positive for companies like Ambuja and JK Cement, so one could go long on these two companies. Piramal Healthcare is entering into a tie-up with the Japanese companies on the contract manufacturing space for a cancer drug, so one can go long on Piramal Healthcare with a stop loss of 485 and a target of about 510 to about 519. Suzlon Energy is looking at considering a debt restructuring, and as we all know that because of the high debt there are issues with respect to Suzlon and the slowdown in the business per se. So if this particular development goes through, it could be potentially positive for Suzlon, so one can go long there with a stop loss of 15.5 and a target of about 16.40 to 16.75. Aban Offshore is looking at doing a QIP and they have called for a board meet on November 1st. So this could be a bit of a positive for Aban. One can go long there with a stop loss of 438 and a target of about 460 to 469. And for SKS Microfinance, there are negative news. The service tax notice has been slapped on them to the tune of about 34 crore. So one can go short on SKS Micro with a stop loss of 123 and a target of about 117 to 114. And in case of ONGC, in that KG-D6 basin, there is a gas leakage which is causing some environmental problems. So one can go short on ONGC with a stop loss of 279 and a target of about 266 to 260. That's it from all of us, friends. Have a good trading session and see you tomorrow at the same time.